really, really quick, 18 seconds long, Goody was asked about Jaire Alexander. And I want to give a shout out to our Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, who sent another video over that we may play the soundbite here in a second. It's from Wildy and Tausch earlier today, one of my favorite podcasts. Here is Goody on Jaire Alexander. He was asked about him earlier today.
Would you still like to have a resolution on Jaire before Thursday? And if you don't trade him before or during the draft, are you just going to keep him on the team for next season?
Yeah, we'll work through that. I don't really have any updates on Jaire. He's obviously on our roster right now. We'll see how the draft goes and then see where we are at that point.
So pretty simple, right? Keep that screen grab pulled up for me there, Tim. This was from ESPN Milwaukee that tweeted this out. I believe this was Rob Demovsky on. I believe it was on Wildy and Tausch. It may have been on one of the other shows here, though. It was posted by ESPN Milwaukee. Let's hear what Rob Demovsky's latest on Jaire Alexander. Which, listen, Rob has caught some heat over this, and there's a portion of the fan base that says they're out to sabotage Jaire Alexander, and they're just doing this because they've got a vendetta against Jaire Alexander. I don't believe that, guys. I really don't. But here's what Rob Demovsky had to say about it.
This is as long and drawn out a process for a guy who I would say with 99.5% certainty is probably not going to be on their team.
Rob, when you say they don't want him, obviously I think that includes Goody in the front office, but does that also include Matt LaFleur and the coaching staff?
No, 100%. Yeah, this is an organizational feeling. The frustration level has come to the point where they just don't want to not know from week to week whether a guy's going to play. It's not unlike the David Bakhtiari situation. Dave's injury was seriously severe. Jaire's maybe not as severe, but if they could get an assurance that Jaire Alexander is going to play 12 or 13 games this year, I think they would take him back. They just do not and cannot be in a position where they don't know. They're using a roster spot. They're giving practice reps. They're spending money on a guy that they don't know how many games he's going to play.
All right, so there you go. That was Rob Demovsky talking about the Jaire situation. I will say this. There was something else he said in that podcast. I was listening to it live, and that was on Wildy and Tausch, by the way. Jason Wildy been on his game, man. I've enjoyed the heck out of that show. And if you guys aren't checking out his articles he's writing right now, just kind of giving you a perspective on the current Packers roster going into the draft, it's been really, really good stuff over at Channel 3000, so make sure you check it out. Chuck in the chat, LOL. Work through it means stop asking. And I'm not going to, so quit asking, right? That'd be the perfect time for that drop. Now
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
It's one of those situations where Rob Demovsky and Jason Wildy this entire time have been saying firmly, Jaire's not going to be on the Packers, right? And we've said more recently that what's the point in trying to get rid of him for nothing? Like, you can wait until the week right before the season starts. Now, you got to hold a roster spot. And obviously, once you go from 90 to 53, that roster spot is extremely valuable. But that's when you start getting into some guaranteed money as if he's on the roster week one. So why not wait? Just like with the draft, when you look at the draft, you're holding on to him if you are indeed going to trade him. If a team doesn't get the corner that falls to him, you guys have heard me say that 100 times, right? And that's kind of how I think Goody's looking at it. It's like, hey, look, if a team doesn't get the corner they want in the draft, let's go get Jaire. Well, let's say all the teams do get the corners they want, and you still got him. Guess what happens in training camp? Injuries. And if an injury occurs, then you trade him, right? I'm still holding out a little bit of hope. That they said 99.5%. I'm still holding out a 0.5% that he's on the roster because I think the roster is better with him on it. Unless it inflates to, as high as a second or a third round pick because a team is really, really vulnerable with their roster, Jacob. That's the only way that I see it. Like I'm not interested in trying to get a 5th round pick when we could hold on to him and potentially get more, or who knows, maybe this thing patches itself up. Because like Tim's pointed out, Jacob, they don't have to do anything with him. And if he says, well, I'm not playing, well, guess what? They get every bit of that money back due this year. So I don't know, man. That's what do you think, Jake?
Yeah, it's a simple example of that. Jaire just doesn't hold the cards. He doesn't. And whether or not he wants to, or whether or not he wants to puff his chest out and say that I deserve this and I can do that. I don't think Goot, if it's a poker game, Goot's just looking there. He's got the OG glasses on. He ain't even smirking. Like, he's not making a move. He's just tapping his hand and going, make your move. Because we have exactly what we need from you right now. We got you painted into a corner. And I would think that Ja and his representation understand that. It's probably why we haven't heard, a lot of kerfuffle, if you will. Great word, by the way, kerfuffle. It's a weird scenario that I don't want to be in, and I don't relish in any way. But like you said, I find it hard to believe that if there is a way to get Jaire to play, that we don't make that happen. But I can't see giving away Jaire for less than a 4th or a 5th round. You know what I mean? Like, when you go in any sort of mock database, even like with PFF wants to give you a 2nd and a 3rd, 2 3s and a 4. Like, they will give up big money as far as what the Jaire trade market is. I just realistically, in real life, I don't see it being anywhere near that. And I think that's probably maybe tick Jaire off a little bit, because if you know anything about him, he's got an ego, which, well deserved. But do you think that he wants to let himself be traded for a 5th, or would he rather be cut and then go find another place to go? Like,
Definitely wants to be cut. Definitely.
I was going to say, and I think that might be the Packers' best option too, right? Like, that's why we're not tipping our hand. You let this play out. If he's a post-June 1 cut, we save money on the cap, and then you move forward. If you can get a 3rd round, or you can do better, then you will.
Do you think mid-draft, do we have a better opportunity to get a better draft pick if we were to because like you said, dude, how many teams, like, after the first, maybe they only had 3 cornerbacks that had a 1st-round grade, they're like, this could actually be a difference maker, a plug-and-play type corner. Mm-hmm. 1st round goes past, 2nd round goes past. We didn't get
you're talking about all pro caliber when he's healthy. There's no two ways about it.
Right. Yeah.
And, it's funny, too, because what's the problem we keep running into in our mock drafts? If you don't go corner 1st or 2nd, you're in no man's land. There's going to be other teams that feel that way, too. Just about guarantee it. What do you think, Emilio? How you feel in the situation, man?
Yeah, it's tough, man.
I'm over here staring at this board.
Yeah,
man.
obviously I'd love to have Ja back, but, man, it just all the signs are pointing to it's not going to happen. So at this point, you just got to get as much out of it as you can. It's that rusty car, right, that's been sitting in the garage that you got to sell. But you just can't get around to doing it. But at one point, you just got to throw it up on Craigslist, right? And
does it have a rusty undercarriage?
Oh, it does have a rust. That's the problem with it. I can't move that kind of stuff.
That's right.
You would love to get $1,200 for it, but the reality is you're going to have to settle for $7.
Yeah. I mean, and you can scrap it for $300, but that plus $400, I'll take that all day long.
Scrapping it for $300 is cut, right? Taking a 5th. That's that $700 range.
Yeah.
That's where it works.
What about that Cars for Clunkers? Is that a thing?
I don't think that's a thing anymore, Jacob. I could be wrong, but
that's Michael Scott, one of his best quotes.
That's still a thing. All right, boys, y'all ready to do a mock draft?
Yes, sir.
We're at the hour mark. We did good there, man. I know sometimes those pressers can be boring, but hopefully we gave you some conversation in between them. We kind of give our take on it. Not that we know anything. Obviously, we're a bunch of knuckleheads, but I just think it's really cool to kind of hear what the GM has to say 2 days before the draft. And is he going to tell you, is he going to tip his hand? Probably not. But if you really pay attention, you can catch just some little snippets of things that they're thinking about, right? And like I said, how they're working the board and all the preparation that went in. I think it's really good stuff, man.
We got time for one real quick question here from Mr. Larry Cano.
Absolutely. What's up, Larry? Hey, thank you for the package, Larry. We got it, buddy. And you were way too kind, Larry. Way too kind. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, he's just wondering, post the 25 draft, do you think that anyone would be willing to trade a 26 draft pick for Mr. Aja?
That's a great, here's the normal operating procedure there. Whenever you trade a pick or a player, if you go next year, it jumps 1 round. So let's say a team is willing to give a 4th round pick for Ja this year. Next year, that would be a 3rd rounder. I could see that being the case. And then, it doesn't even necessarily mean you can't use that 3rd rounder this year. You could use that as draft capital to trade back up in the draft as well. I think that's a great question, Larry. Let's go around the horn with that one. So I think that's really interesting. Go Go ahead, Emilio. What do you think, man? Do you think that's on the table there? I haven't even really thought about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, DJ was talking, said what Philly's got 12 or 13 picks next year. So I could see them being like, hey, let's just give up some for next year. We'll grab Jaire, an all-pro corner. We'll give him, a fifth and a sixth, or a fourth and a sixth, or whatever it needs to be. And to them, it's, hey, we still have 8+ picks. We'd still be over, we still have double-digit picks.